All right, let's switch over for the last few moments of our panel discussion on controlling the costs of incident response, because it sounds like a really great story. It sounds like a no-brainer. Difficult to assume that a publicly traded company would not have a full implementation of an incident response plan, but cost always gets in the way. And when you compare the cost benefit and the return on investment, there's always a bit of a push and pull within organizations. What is the most costly part of an incident response plan?
Time and commitment. It's a cultural issue. If you don't have buy-in from the top in creating this team and saying we're going to draw a line in the sand and say when we have a really bad day and we're all running around with our hair on fire, this is what we're going to do. But the commitment is time for those people that are on that team to schedule time to meet and not push it because they had a call or not push it because they needed to travel, but to really get it done. If they'll go through that process and they'll commit to doing tabletop exercises, and because I apparently was slanderous on the word storyboard, I will remit the remainder of my time to my colleague from Philadelphia. But I think that that's the biggest issue. Getting somebody to sign a pre-event services contract is not expensive. Yeah, I think one of the things that should be also included in that process is gaining a clear understanding of what identity theft is and what identity theft is not, and that the majority of the issues, 80% of identity theft has nothing to do with your financial identity. 80%. 20% of it is somebody doing something that's going to show up in a credit report or through a credit monitoring program. If you are not able to address that 80% when people call in and say there's a driver's license in my name, rental property, utilities, a job, health care, check fraud, whatever it is, then those are the issues that you're going to have to be prepared to deal with them.
Well, that's a good question. So to pose to regulators or the legal community, and that is, we've established through law and regulation the requirement to offer credit monitoring services. So what's your take on the future of what those services might be? What do you think a regulator might tomorrow say, and you also have to provide X? What do you think those services might look like?
Wow. I mean, they do some crazy stuff with the laws. I mean, they've done some good things in Massachusetts, but the thing that they did that was bad was that if you're sending the notification letter, you can't say what happened. So if you're dealing with a breach and you've got 10 years worth of data and you go back and figure out where all these people live, and lo and behold, you've never done business in Massachusetts, but you've got 400 people that moved there, now you have to write a separate letter just for Massachusetts adults, deceased, minors, that says, hey, we're sorry, something bad happened, give us a call so we can tell you because we can't put it in the letter. I mean, that's really ridiculous. Yeah. If it's from a futures perspective, they just get in session and they just write some stuff down and say, hey, that looks good, let's have them call everybody and tell them that they had a breach of data. Let's have them publicize it. I don't know why that's beneficial. So I don't looking into the future, as long as they don't force you today to provide credit monitoring, and they really shouldn't, because then they would be creating more challenges than not. So notification, call center, those are really the requirements today. But then once you do that part of the process, you've got the tiger by the end of the tail, and now you've got to do something with it.